Shankaram Shabhuma Shankararya Pitha Sadgurun Shuddha Sattva Bhasuran Suvartmanita Bhusuran Sarva Bhuta Saukhyadan Khamakaran Yatishwara.
Now, I got it now. I'll start from beginning. Shri Guru Charana Dvandvam Vandeham Matita Dussahadvandvam Bhrantigraho Pashantim Pamsumayam Yasya Bhasitam Atanute. So with this Mangala Shloka, we are starting this Svatmanirupanam. So here, in the last class, we have seen the Shloka that is 20, number 20. Na avedyam api paroksham bhavati brahma swayam prakashatvat satyam jnanam anantam brahma ityetasya lakshanam prathate. So in this shloka, in the last shloka, that is last class, we saw this shloka in detail. So there it has been established that even though Brahman is not known as an object, yet that Brahman does exist because it is the self-luminous entity which is ever the subject. It is never the object. Since it can never become an object, it cannot be known as an object through some pramana. But it can be realized to be one's own self because its existence cannot be denied by anybody. Because everyone experiences himself to be an existent entity, and the Upanishad teaches us that that existent entity alone is Brahman. So that is the first line where the yukti has been used. In the second line, the Acharya says that the Brahman has got a lakshanam. The Upanishads give a lakshanam to Brahman, Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So that way also Brahman's existence cannot be denied. So prathate means it is very, very well known or popular in the Shruti that Brahman exists that way. So in the next shloka now, 21st shloka, Sati Kosha Shaktyupadhau Sambhavataha Tasya Jivateshvarate, that is Jivata and Ishvarata, no chet tayoho abhavat vigata vishesham vibhati nijarupam. So for this shloka, there is an avatarika. We can understand this shloka better when we read the introduction. Yadi Brahma Satya Jnana और अनंत लक्षण वाला है तो अल्पज्ञ और सर्वज्ञ ईश्वर कहाँ से आए? So if Brahman is Satyam Jnanam Anantam with that attribute or with that Lakshanam, we have this Ishvara and Jiva in the world. So this is a question raised by a Astika. A Nastika will not believe in Ishvara, so he will not raise this question. So by a Astika being a believer, he has known from the Puranas and from the Loka Vyavahara and all that there is an Ishvara. And everyone considers himself to be a jiva who is in bondage. So how come these two are there if Brahman is Satyam Jnanam Anantam? Is Shankar ko drishti mein rakhkar kehte hain. So with this, keeping this doubt in mind or this question in mind, the 21st shloka comes to settle those questions. Sati kosha shaktyupadhau sambhavataha tasya jiveshvarate. So if kosha Upadhi and Shakti Upadhi, if these two are there, then we have the possibility of Jiva and Jiva. So if these two are there, when we accept these two upadhis, then we can definitely say that Jiva is there and Ishvara is there. Jiva is possible because of the Kosha upadhi, and Ishvara is there because of the Shakti upadhi. Shakti is the power. So here, this will be explained in the commentary very well. No chet tayoho abhavat vigata vishesham vibhati nijarupam. If these two are not there, then or in the scenario where these Ishvara and Jiva are not there, Brahman shines by itself in its true nature, but in its true, real, native nature. That is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. That is the infinite Brahman with no possibility of any Jiva and Ishvara. So from this also we can easily conclude that the Upanishad has taught Brahman as Satyam Jnanam Anantam without any trace of the possibility of any world or Jiva and all that, Ishvara and all that. So that is the ultimate truth, absolute truth. But the Upanishad itself teaches about Jiva and Ishvara. It discusses about Jiva and Ishvara. It also teaches the Aikyam of Jiva and Ishvara through the Tattvamasi Mahavakyam. So here, all that is possible only because of the the Upanishad Jiva and Ishvara to be as so someone will have to mute. Yeah. So we can easily know that the Shruti is making a superimposition of Jiva and Ishvara. That is, it is bringing in the idea of Jiva and Ishvara officially. It is unofficially known by the people, but then officially the Upanishads are superimposing the idea of Jiva and Ishvara on Brahman, and to enable this Vyavahara of Bandha, Moksha and all that. So here in the commentary, the Hindi commentary, the meaning of the shloka is given. ब्रह्म पर माया रूपी शक्ति की उपाधि से ईश्वर होता है. So with the upadhi of Maya Shakti, we come to get the Ishvara upadhi. That is, the Ishvara entity is possible because of the Maya Shakti upadhi on Brahman. So anyway, in any case, that Nirguna Brahman alone is the basis for both the Ishvara upadhi and the Jiva upadhi through the intervention of Maya Shakti and Avidya Shakti. So, and Avidya Shakti also is not a distinct Shakti from Maya Shakti. It is only another version or another outcome or the offshoot of the Maya Shakti, one Maya Shakti. Avidya Shakti is also an offshoot of one Maya Shakti alone. So these are all theories. This theory is required only to enable the these theories are required only to enable the Vyavahara of Bandha and Moksha. So नहीं तो ईश्वर अविद्या रूपी शक्ति की उपाधि से जीव होता है. So the Maya रूपी शक्ति is the cause for Ishvara and अविद्या रूपी शक्ति is the cause for Jiva. नहीं तो ईश्वर के संबंध में माया और जीव के संबंध में अविद्या के अभाव से सर्वधर्मों से रहित आत्मा निज रूप से प्रकाशित होता है. So if these two Shaktis are not admitted, or if these two Shaktis are negated, then Brahman will shine forth along with in its own pure nature of Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Here in the commentary, the Acharya is taking part by part of the shloka. Sati Kosha Shakti Upadhav. For that part, he is now giving the commentary. जब ब्रह्म माया की उपाधि धारण सा करता है, तब वो ईश्वर कहलाता है. So when Brahman is as though that धारण सा करता है, that sa is meant to show that Brahman does not really take upon itself any upadhi. It is as though taking upon itself the upadhi. So that as though is actually called the superimposition by the Shastra. The Shastra is giving the Nirguna Brahman dress as if it is wearing a costume of Maya. And the Shastra itself is giving Brahman another costume of Jiva. So this is how it is. Brahman does not wear any of these things really, but the Shastra is superimposing these two on Brahman. So धारण सा करता है, उपाधि धारण सा करता है, तब वो ईश्वर कहलाता है. So when Brahman is associated with the Maya upadhi, it is called Ishvara. Then what will be the attributes of that Ishvara? Sarvajnata, Sarvashaktimatta, तथा स्वतंत्रता आदि उसके लक्षण होते हैं. So Sarvajnata is omniscience, Sarvashaktita is omnipotence. Then Swatantrata is its nature of being independent, not dependent on any other entity in the world. in creation for its existence and its display of powers and things like that. It doesn't depend on any entity from the creation. So that is those are the attributes of Ishvara. जब ब्रह्म अविद्या को उपाधि धारण सा करता है, तब वो जीव कहलाता है. So when Brahman is as though endowed with this avidya upadhi, it is called jiva. Then the nature of jiva will be the opposite of the Ishvara, that is asvatantrata, that is alpagnata. Alpagnata is not being omniscient. It is of some with limited knowledge only. So the jiva is with limited knowledge, finite knowledge. There's never infinite knowledge of the as that of Ishvara. Then alpashaktita. So jiva does has some power, but then it does have some power, but then that power is only limited. So it can't engage in creation, it can't engage in dissolution and things like that. Jiva has some power which it can carry about its allotted functions or whatever it wants to do, really. Then alpashaktivanta tatha paratantrata. So jiva is always dependent on the Ishvara for its maintenance of its body-mind complex and getting bhoga and things like that. So the jiva is always under the care and protection of Ishvara. So that's how the jiva will come to be spoken of as paratantra, and Ishvara is always swatantra. उसके लक्षण होते हैं. माया और अविद्या में क्या अंतर है? So he is raising a question. What is the distinction between the power called Maya and the power called Avidya? Then he gives a reply. शुद्ध सत्व गुण प्रधाना माया होती है और सत्व गुण प्रधाना अविद्या होती है. So all these are stated in the Advaita Shastra books. So these terms are there. Shuddha Sattva Pradhana, that is the power called Maya or the power called Mula Prakriti. It is made up of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So these three gunas are there. So in that, the Sattva guna is now taken up for explaining the difference between the Jiva and Ishvara. So in the case of the Ishvara, this Sattva guna is Shuddha Sattva guna. So Sattva means it is endowed with the quality of thinking, contemplating, deliberating, and things like that. So that the function of the intellect that is there. So in Sattva, because Sattva is always endowed with knowledge, jnanam. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam. That is what the Gita says. And so with this Sattva guna, the Shuddha Sattva guna, if it is Shuddha Sattva, then Shuddha Sattva Pradhana. So that is dominant. That Sattva guna is dominant, that is there. And even there, the Shuddha Sattva guna is dominant there. And then it is called Ishvara. So when Maya is endowed, or Maya is looked at as something which is endowed with Shuddha Sattva guna Pradhana, it is called Ishvara. And if that same Maya is seen as endowed with Malina Sattva guna Pradhana, then it is called Avidya. So Avidya is, even in Avidya, even if it is if it means ignorance and delusion and things like that, still the role of antakaranam or buddhi is there, definitely, because this delusion can happen only in the buddhi, and buddhi has to be there for the jiva to carry out its functions and all that. So even if a jiva is very, very impure, in the sense that jiva is endowed with a lot of impure vasanas and that proclivities and all that, still the role of intellect is there. That's why this sattva is always protected here. So the sattva is not given up at all here. But then that sattva is malina sattva, whereas it is Shuddha Sattva in the case of Ishvara. So in the case of Ishvara, there is no delusion, there is no suffering of samsara, there is no prarabdha karma like the jiva and all that, and there is no at all for Ishvara. But then the role of Ishvara will be always to in maintaining the created world and withdrawing it at the proper time, and giving out the karma phala for the jivas and things like that. So, and helping the jivas in both bhoga and apavarga. Apavarga is moksha. So, in the 15th chapter of the Gita, Bhagavat Pada in the Bhashyam, he starts with this statement that he articulates what Ishvara, what Bhagavan would say. Bhagavan doesn't say that, but then Bhagavad Pada is giving an introduction to that chapter, saying that the karma phala, the phala of, or the fruit of the jivas who are engaged in karma, that is under me, and the fruit of the jivas who are engaged in moksha, that is also that fruit also is under me. That means the jivas who are performing their karma without any knowledge of the without any knowledge of the superior goal of moksha, they will continue to be in samsara, and that fruit also will be delivered by Bhagavan himself. And the fruit of the jivas who are mumukshus, that moksha phalam, that is also under the control of Ishvara. So Ishvara alone gives this fruit also. In the sense, jnanam is there, which results in liberation. There's no doubt about it. But then, for the utpatti of that jnanam, for that jnanam to manifest itself as a result of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasanam, that has to be, that is because of Ishwar Prasada, in the sense that the jiva has no papa karma and all that, which prevents him from getting that phalam of jnanam and through that moksha. So this Ishvara role is in this only, that he is the one who gives the fruit of punyam and papam. That's why that extreme punyam is required here, and that too, that kind of punyam which does not take this jiva to any punya loka and all that, but this kind of punyam which is conducive to Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasanam and Jnana Utpatti. That's why in the Vid.V.Subramanian in the beginning, Bhagavad Pada says, Jantunam Narajanma Durlabham Tatah Pumstvam Tato Viprata. So in that shloka, Tasmat Vaidika Dharma Parata Vidvatvam Asmat Param Atmanatma Vivechanam Svanbhavo Brahmatmana Samsiti Muktirno Shatakoti Janma Sukrutai Punnir Vina Labhyate. So this mukti is attained unless there is Shatakoti Janma Sukritaihi. So the Sukrita, that is a punya, which has been performed by this jiva in many janmas. That paripaka of that punya directed towards Atma Jnanam alone is the cause for this moksha. So Muktirno Shatakoti Janma Sukritai Punya Vina Labhyate. So the role of Ishvara here in the case of the jiva, a jiva who is a mumukshu who wants to attain liberation, there he blesses the jiva with all the shama, dhamma, etc. and an exalted guru for his spiritual journey and all that. So these are all there in the Shastras, very well accepted and very nicely spoken of also by Bhagavad Pada himself in various places in the Prasthantara Bhashya and the Prakarana Granthas also. So here, Shuddha Sattva Guna Pradhana Maya hoti hai aur Malina Sattva Pradhana Avidya hoti hai. Maya Swachha aur Avidya Malin hoti hai. So Maya is Swachha Rupa and Avidya is Malina Rupa. That is, Avidya is endowed with this impurity, whereas Maya is endowed with purity. Purity in the sense, there is no delusion, there is no bondage and all that. Whereas in the case of Avidya, it is giving bondage, and it is the one which protects bondage, it is perpetuating bondage and all that for the jiva. And that is why the Virodhi of Avidya will be Vidya. And this Avidya, as it is said that it is Malina Sattva, it has to be converted to Shuddha Sattva. That Shuddha Sattva, it doesn't mean that he will become Ishvara, but what that Shuddhata will provide him is, with him, provide is that the ability to transcend the three gunas. So that also will be, that also is a inbuilt power within avidya, within the three gunas only, that ability to transcend the three gunas. That is why in the 14th chapter we can see that sattva, rajas and tamas, three of them are spoken of, And the emphasis the Gita wants to put is on the sattva alone. So the jiva is repeatedly asked to reduce and transcend the tamas and rajas, but then to improve and increase the sattva. And sattva is the one which will give him jnana, and that is the one which will help him transcend the three gunas. So that is the nature of this sattva. अतः स्वच्छ मायोपाधि से ईश्वर में सर्वज्ञतादि गुण है, और मलिन अविद्या उपाधि से जीव में अल्पज्ञतादि गुण है. So this Shuddha Sattvam and the Malina Sattvam, they account for the presence of omniscience and omnipotence, etc. in the Ishvara, and the Malina and the ignorance and prone to more and more bondage and all that. These things are all attributes of this Malina Sattva. यहाँ कोश का अर्थ है आवरक, आचारक. So here in the shloka, this word kosha is there in the first line. Sati kosha shakti upadav. That kosha, the acharya here says, denotes that which is something which is something which envelops, something which covers the Atma Swarupam from being a self-luminous entity. Atman is self-luminous entity, Swaprakasha, but that Swaprakasha is as though covered by this kosha. And we can also say that kosha, the word kosha is there because of this reason only. It is a covering, enveloping, which envelops the jiva on several layers. That's why we have pancha koshas. So the Annamaya kosha is the grossest one, and a little subtler than that is the, or less grosser, is the less gross is the Pranamaya kosha, and then the Manomaya kosha, even less grosser or more subtle. Then beyond that is the Vijnanamaya kosha, which is even more subtle, and beyond that is the Anandamaya kosha, which is the subtlest in the among the five panchakoshas, and beyond the Anandamaya kosha is the Atman. So the Atman is as though covered in these 5 layers by these 5 koshas, and this is the one which and this is the one which is taken or wrongly taken to be one's self. So the Panchakosha identity is called Bandha, and the disidentification from the Panchakoshas is called Moksha. Then Maya ko माया की शक्ति से ब्रह्म आच्छादित किया जाने पर वो मायोपाधि वाला ब्रह्म ही ईश्वर कहलाता है. So when this Maya Shakti is actually is as though apparently enveloping Brahman, then it is called Ishvara. But then it is not real enveloping, because Brahman can never be enveloped by any Shakti whatsoever. For that, the Advaita Shastra books give the example of the sun being covered for a brief time by a cloud. So the cloud can really never cover the sun, but then the cloud can prevent a person on the ground from having a direct vision of the sun. So that is possible. So that is the role of the cloud there. It is not really covering the sun. It is only covering the vision of the person who is trying to see the sun. In the same way here also, this Maya can never cover Brahman, and Avidya also can never cover Atman. So the purpose of this Maya and Avidya is to only prevent the vision of the jiva from having the real nature of, from having the experience of the true nature of Brahman, which is not different from Atman. So avidya ke avaran se Brahma hi jiva kahlata hai. So this avidya avarana is covering. When avidya is apparently covering Brahman, it is called jiva. वास्तव में ब्रह्म को आवरण नहीं है. So he is clarifying that also. So that lest someone think that there is really a covering on Brahman and things like that. No, that is not a literal understanding at all. That literal understanding is actually corrected. If someone has that kind of understanding, this statement corrects it. सो वास्तव में ब्रह्म को आवरण नहीं है, केवल उपदेश के लिए ऐसा बताया है. सो ओनली फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ टीचिंग दिस काइंड ऑफ ए थियरी इज introduced in the Shastra. After this, there is some more explanation which we'll take up in the next class. So the 20th shloka, 21st shloka is not yet over. Some more portion is there in the commentary to be covered. Shri Guru Charana Dvandvam Vandeham Matita Dussahadvandvam Bhrantigrahopashantim यस्य भजितम् आतनुते. शास्त्रं शारीरमीमांसा देवस्तु परमेश्वरः. आचार्या शंकराचार्या सन्तु मे जन्म जन्मनि. विद्याविनय सम्पन्नं वीतरागं विवेकिनं वन्दे वेदान्त तत्त्वज्ञं विदुषेखर भारती. ओम तत्सत्.